This needle felting kit is from Little Gem Felts, who I first came across at the Northeast Wool Show, and I really recommend you check them out because they have some really amazing things. Inside this kit, you'll find a detailed instruction booklet, an A3 piece of black felt, and all the colours of wool and other fibre you'll need to complete the picture. They come all neatly packaged in these little plastic bags and labelled so you know which one is which. There are some other things you'll need that aren't included, and those are felting needles. The instructions recommend using a multi-tool like this one that has a retractable guard, as well as a single needle, and a brush or mat to go under your work, so that when you're stabbing the fibres into the felt, there's something on the other side of the felt for the needle to go into. The instructions break the whole process down into steps and give plenty of information and include pictures to illustrate the techniques used. There's also a large reference image at the back, annotated to show which colours go where. The first step is to lay a background layer. I laid fibres over the entire piece of base felt first, making sure it was all covered, before I started stabbing it in. The first step is to lay a background layer. I laid the fibres over the entire piece of base felt first, making sure it was all covered. Then I started stabbing it in. Sorry for the harsh sound of the multi-tool. I found it a bit hard to use at first until I found a good rhythm. As well as the abrasive noise, I found it annoying to have to keep removing the piece from the brush to move it so I could work on a different part of the piece, because the brush is so much smaller than the piece. So I didn't particularly enjoy this part of the process. Even with getting faster at using the tool, which holds 9 needles, it still took quite a long time to cover the whole sheet and to stab the fibres in firmly. Plus, I had to do several layers as the wool shrinks as you felt it, so you end up with gaps that need to be filled in. The instructions said to trim the excess wool from the back of the piece so that you don't lose perspective, and to keep doing this throughout the piece as you work on it. I wasn't quite sure what this meant, or how much excess wool you're meant to trim. I did do it at first, but I didn't think it made much difference, so I have to admit I kind of ignored this instruction going forward, but it seemed to turn out fine. Eventually, I decided to consider the base layer done, which meant I could finally move on to starting the actual picture. Yay! We start with the sky first, layering a variety of colours as per the instructions to give a dramatic sunrise or sunset. I think it ends up looking quite autumnal. And as you can see, I've now acquired a different multi-needle tool, this one without a guard, and I much prefer this one as it doesn't require as much force or make such a grating sound. Once the sky is done, it's time to add some hills on the horizon line and some grasses, bushes and trees in the background. I've done one needle felting kit before, and the main difference between the two is the amount of detail in the instructions. At first, I felt reassured by the amount of instructions in this kit, in the same way I'd felt intimidated by the lack of instructions in the previous kit. Now, this is very much just a me thing, but with this one, I found myself stressing over trying to adhere exactly to every step. And I particularly stressed out about when I didn't understand the instructions. But the thing is, the instructions are there as guidance, not rules. In this case, if you don't follow them, all that will happen is that your picture will turn out differently to the sample picture. But of course, following the instructions as closely as you can is going to get a similar result, but it was never going to be identical, no matter what you do. And to be honest, this happened with the other kit too. Even though there were viewer instructions, I still found myself working with the sample picture directly in front of me, trying to copy it exactly and getting frustrated when mine obviously turned out differently. Sometimes the best thing to do is to lean into making yours your own and making it unique, rather than being a slave to the instructions and the sample image. So as I said, that's a me thing with kits in general, not just this one. But the instructions for this one were really helpful and taught me some great techniques for how you can prepare and manipulate the wool before and as you felt it to create certain effects. My background trees ended up bigger than intended, and I left the picture like this for a little while to give myself time to decide if I wanted to remove the wool and redo the trees smaller, or if I was happy with them how they were. In the end, I decided to leave them. As I mentioned previously, there were a couple of steps where I didn't quite understand what was being described. For example, I didn't film how I did the leaves on those trees in the background, as I had no idea if I was doing them right. The confusion did hold me back at first, because how could I proceed if I didn't know what the instructions meant? So I kind of just, tried to follow the instructions, but, kind of did my own thing. Now we have some more bushes in the foreground, and then it's time to start on the big tree in the foreground. A quick note on my change of setup. I replaced the too small felting brush with this A3 foam from Heidi Feathers, which is great. And I also got this, I'm not sure what you call it, a desk stand maybe? I don't know. Anyway, I was starting to get neck aches from leaning over my desk at 90 degrees when felting for longer periods of time, so this allowed me to work while sitting up straight. And I'm pleased to say that the felt had no problem staying on the foam even when it was almost vertical. Now it's finally time to felt the stars of the show! I found the sheep a little bit tricky, but I managed okay in the end. I decided to add a third sheep in the background because why not? And I think it turned out so cute. I was delighted. Then just a final tree and a few more bushes, and then we're done. Now, the instructions don't say to do this, but I decided to try and needle felt my edges a little neater, kind of tucking the excess fibres under the picture. Hopefully when I frame it eventually, the edges will end up covered as it's far from perfect, but I do think it made an improvement. Maybe in future there's a way to keep the edges neater throughout the process, rather than needing to do something about it at the end, but I don't know. Anyway, I am thrilled with my finished piece. Now I just need to decide where to hang it. Overall, this was a great kit and most of the instructions are really clear, and at the end you have a lovely piece of art that you've made yourself, plus you have plenty of wool left over for more pictures too. So I definitely think you get great value for money out of kits like these, and they're a great way to develop your skills in a medium. In particular, I highly recommend you check out Little Gem Felts, as in addition to this kit and their other kits, they also sell a range of felted products like bags, notebooks, pincushions and lampshades, as well as original art pieces. It's all handmade and it's all gorgeous. You can often find them at wool shows around the UK, and also at the links to their website and Instagram in the description below. This isn't sponsored, by the way, I just like them. Thanks for watching. All likes and comments are greatly appreciated. And if you haven't already, do please subscribe if you'd like to see more craft videos from me. Till next time, happy crafting!